Alright, this is lesson 85. We're talking about ellipses. The first thing I want to do before we even start the lesson, I want you to explore on the calculator how the standard equation of an ellipse looks like. So why don't we pull out our graphing calculators to look at decimals. The goal of today's lesson was just to explore the calculator, so we just did that was just conceptual. You need to just know how to do that with all of the equations. And then identify the foci. Okay, so here's two new terms I haven't taught you yet. I taught you how to graph ellipses, but I haven't taught you what foci and major X or major Y is. That was on your steps. So you'll notice that every time we graphed an ellipse, it either stretched left and right or it stretched up and down, right? There's no other way it's stretched, but those are the two ways. When it stretches right like this, we call this left and right. It's called a major X. You guys should write this down in your notes, please. This is called the major X ellipse, okay? So the center, of course, is in the middle, but there's two new points that I didn't teach you yet either. They're called the foci, or F-O-C-I, foci. Each individual point is called a focus, but they're to the left and to the right of the center. Okay, so there's one on the left, and then there's one on the right. That's called the foci. And basically, what these points do is they give us an idea of how the circle is made based upon the distances. The distance to each of these points is always the same if we bring them together. So if I had a string that was like a circle and I used a pencil to draw it, it would always be the same if I put a nail here, and a pencil. Because the distance to any point on this ellipse is the same, would make the same distance from each foci the same. So this distance to this distance would be the same. Okay. It's just important that you know where they are. Okay. The other type of ellipse is the one that's up and down. The one that goes up and down is called a major Y ellipse. Okay, because it's stretched parallel to the Y axis. Okay, so write this down. Of course, you have a center, and then the foci will be above or below it. And again, the foci give us an idea of how the ellipse was made. Here are the steps for today. Identify if the ellipse is major X or major Y. And then if it's major X, then we use this following equation. If it's major Y, you use the second equation. What do these equations kind of remind you of? The Pythagorean theorem, right? Is it the same though? No, there's a minus sign, right? So you might get confused with a squared and b squared, but the clue always is the bigger number minus the smaller number. Bigger number minus the smaller number. And then I'll show you how to graph this, the foci on the graph. Okay, so let's do a few of these together. Here we go. So number one, I'll do a couple, and then you'll write this down and discuss it. Here we go. So number one, we want to graph, just like last week, we want to find what h and k are. H and k are 0, 0, so we're going to plot our center point. Okay. We know that a squared is 49, so the square root of a squared is 7. So we go 7 to the right and 7 to the left and plot some points. Then we know b squared is 16, so square root of 16 is 4. We go 4 above and 4 below. And we have our 4 vertices, okay? So now we're going to plot our ellipse, which is going to be a pretty round graph. That doesn't look very good, but it's all right. And we want to now figure out what our foci are. That's the new thing. That's the goal for today. So our foci need to be someplace around, on the left and right, here and here, right? But that's not exactly where they are, but we need to figure that out. So how do we figure that out? Well, we need to figure out what kind of ellipse this is. This is stretched left and right, so this is a major X ellipse. So since it's major X, I know I'm going to use the equation c squared is equal to a squared minus b squared. And then I'm just plugging in. A squared is 49. B squared is 16. So c squared is equal to 33. And then if I were to take the square root of both sides, c is equal to rad 33. Okay? So rad 33, we can't simplify that anymore. It's irrational. But I could estimate it. I know rad 36 is 6. Rad 25 is 5. So it's closer to 6. It's probably like 3.8 or something. I'm sorry, 5.8. So on the major axis, which is the one that's going left and right, I'm going to go about almost 6 in each direction. So I'm going to count almost 6 on the right. I'm going to plot a point here. And then almost 6 on the left, plot a point to the left. These are both my foci, and I'm going to represent them as F. But I also want to define where they are. So this one to the left is negative, rad 33, 0. And then this one is positive. Actually, I'm moving out the ellipse so I could define it. Positive rad 33, 0. Okay? And that's my 2 points. Does that make sense? That's all we're doing. So today's goal, we already know how to graph, but we want to plot the new foci. Okay, number 2. Same thing as number 1. We want to graph it. Our center here is going to be 3, 0. So we're going to go to 3, 0, plot a point. Then we want to figure out what A is. We know that A squared is 10, so A should be equal to rad 10. B squared is 45, so B is equal to rad 45, which is also equal to like 9 times 5, right? Which is 3 rad 5. Okay. Now we're going to go plot our A and B. So we know rad 10 is a little bit over 3, so we're going to go 1, 2, 3. A little past that. A little past negative 1, 2, 1. Yep. B is rad 45, which is almost 7 in each direction. Plotting our ellipse. Okay, and now we want to figure what our foci are. So this is a major y ellipse, so I'm going to use the different one, but a different equation. It's going to be c squared is equal to b squared minus a squared. So always take the bigger number, so it's going to be c squared is equal to the bigger number, which is 45, minus 10, and we know 45 minus 10 is 35. So C is going to be equal to rad 35. 35 is like saying 7 times 5. We can't really simplify that anymore. So, but rad 35 is almost 6, so we're going to go up 6 and down 6. Counting up 6 almost, and almost at 6 going up and pointing a point, and almost down 6 putting a point. These are both my foci. So we're going to define what these foci are. This first foci is going to be over 3. Up rad 35, and then second foci is over 3 and negative rad 35, and we're all done. And that's how you do number 2. I don't know why it's not plotting. Yeah.
What'd you get?
Foci, okay. So turn your neighbor right now. Let's have 1 solitudes. How did I do number 1? Especially talking about how I got the foci, and then 2 solo ones about number 2. Ready, set, and go. Number 3. Number 3. Okay, so number 3, let's work on this x squared over 16 plus y squared over 4 is equals to 1. Okay, so what is your center? Turn your neighbor, tell them what the center is on this example. 0, 0. So we want to write down our center is going to be 0, 0, and we're going to plot our center. Okay, what's A equal to?
0.
What's it? What? What's A equal to?
0.
4. Good. So we're going to go left and right 4 because A squared is 16,
Oh.
right?
I was looking at number 4.
Okay, so write down. Let's go. still would be wrong. Number 4.
Yeah.
What's the fraction on number 4? X squared over what?
1. Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay? We'll do 4 later. Okay, so what's B, everyone? B is 2, so we're going to go up and down 2 from the center. And then you're going to draw your ellipse like you normally would, like so. Okay, do your best, or you can use the ellipse tool. Okay, everyone's writing this down. Now, turn to your neighbor, explain, or tell him, is it major X or major Y? What is it, everyone? Major what? Major X, right? Oop. So, since it's major X, we need to start writing down our equation for major X, which is going to be C squared is equal to A squared minus B squared, or the bigger number minus the smaller number. That's the hint for this. So in this case, A squared is, what in the world did I just do? Oh, I see what I did. So in this case, C squared is going to be equal to 16 minus 4, so C squared is going to be equal to 12. So therefore, the square root of 12 is going to be rad 12. Now, what's rad 12 about? Between what two numbers?
2 and 4.
Nope.
3 and 4.
3 and 4. Okay. So, and we know rad 12, we could simplify 4, or 12 is 4 times 3, therefore rad 4 is 2, so it's going to be 2 rad 3. Is a simplified 4. So on the major x-axis, we're going to go between 3 and 4, and we're going to draw a focus point on each section right there. And then we're going to define where they are. So this first focus section is going to be F, or focus point, is negative 2 rad 3, 0. And the second one is going to be positive 2 rad 3, 0. And that's it. We're done with this one. Does that make sense? Okay, let's have you do number 4 now. Number 4. On this first x squared, before you start, what's the denominator on the first x squared? 1, right? We can make anything a fraction by putting it over 1, okay? So that's your hint. Go. This is number 4. What is your center? 0, 0. A is? 1. So I'm going to go left and right. 1. B is? 5. Up and down 5. This could be major X or major Y ellipse. Major Y, good. Okay, so what's C equal to? Okay, so we're going to go 25 minus 1. So C squared is equal to 24. So what's C equal to? Rad square root of 24, which is about almost 5, right? Which is equal to really 6 times 4. Which is 2 rad 6. Okay. Putting our foci down, up and down from the center. What's this top foci? What's the point of the top foci?
Rad 24 is
Nope. 0 rad 2 rad, or 2 rad 6, yep. Second one, bottom one is? Okay. Does that make sense? Okay. So on a test, I might ask, here's your equation, what's the foci? Name the two foci. Okay. All right, continuing on, number 5. Let's do one more here. Number 5. I'm going to erase 6 for the moment. Okay, let's have you work this one out, and then I'll discuss it with you. Number 5. Negative 1, 0, good. A is 2. B? Good. Major X or major Y? Okay, so we're going to use c squared is equal to, which is c is equal to rad 45, which is like saying 3 rad 5. Does that make sense? Okay, continuing on. So we're going to go putting our foci down. Let's look at this carefully. 3 rad 5. Rad 45 is about what? Almost what? Between what two numbers? Rad 45 is between what two numbers? 6 and 7, right? So this first foci is going to be -1 up rad 35, or 3 rad 5, and then bottom one is -1, negative rad 3. That's it. Okay? That concludes our lesson.